I'm double her age. I have nothing in common with this girl at all. And I'm like, YOLO, and she's like, oh God, boomer.
Yeah, it's like, no.
I'm like, did I say something wrong? Hi, and welcome to Seriously Pointless Conversations. Your seriously pointless conversations about all your nerdy and geek things across light years, James. Across light years. That's right.
Ooh.
I know I was a little ham-fisted about what we're talking about today, but yeah. So I am joined by the illustrious James again. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderfully.
Good. You had a little bit of a hiatus from us for a little while there, because I know.
I did. I went to Mexico. It was
wonderful. Whoa, Mexico. That's right.
I got drunk on the beach.
That's right.
Great.
And I would have loved to have been there because I'm like drinking Mai Tais with you. It would have been great. So
that would have been great.
That's the future plans. But yeah, so that's awesome though. So that's where you've been at. So you've been kind of just taking it easy on the beach, drinking Mai Tais with your lovely wife and family.
Mm-hmm.
So did you get any time to really watch anything or play anything at all over your vacation?
I have been going through some of the spring anime.
There you go.
Some of the things we talked about in anime we were looking forward to has come up, and the dubs are starting to pour in, and I'm encouraged to see that Funimation is kind of keeping up for right now. So hopefully,
I think they probably had maybe a backlog somewhere. Probably
things are getting a little bit better. I'll say the anime about like I'm a spider now, so what is better than expected.
Really,
it's not the slime show good, but it's
okay.
Better than expected. I thought it was going to be a terrible ripoff, but it's actually something.
And I said I don't know if you've noticed that I powered through, because we share a Funimation account. And I've totally rip off James, and I don't know if you've noticed, I've literally powered through the slime.
I've through like 2 seasons already.
And I started doing Dr. Stone too. So
Dr. Stone is great.
I'm loving it. If you guys are unfamiliar with Dr. Stone, you guys need to go out and check it out. It's great. Think of super technological guy gets basically
a 10,000,000% chance you'll enjoy this show.
That's wow. Anyways, so he gets thrown back into like Stone Age technology basically, and he has to work his way up and basically teach people how all the things work. And it's really fun to watch, but it's kind of like they just came out with a second season. If you guys haven't watched it, that's a very, very rough synopsis of it. But it's really
do an episode on that.
It's really fun. It's probably one of my favorite animes that they've come out with so far. Next to the slime, which the slime has kind of like gone off the rails a little bit. I feel like towards the end of the season.
I mean, have you gotten to where he plays like university professor for a while?
Yes, I'm like, what in God's name is going on here? I was just like, you can tell the writer was just like, he's going to be a university professor. And I'm like, I get this is all satirical, but I'm like, that's insane, man.
That's how light novels are, though. This was a light novel anime, and that kind of shows once you know what to look for.
Oh my God, it really was. So it's fun though. I like that he's going back. I kind of started season 2, and he's going back He's going back to the village finally, which I'm all about that world building. I like the fact that he's like building a town. It's very Ni no Kuni reminiscent a little bit, kind of. So I'm enjoying it. So
if you want something a little more shonen, VRV has Jujutsu Kaisen, which is actually pretty decent.
I have to finish up. So I just got to the festival portion of My Hero Academia, and I just watched it. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of stuff after that. So I have to finish that. It's like
backlog.
I have like 25 episodes to watch on that. So my plan is, while I'm like at home here and I'm just running in place, I do like an episode of cardio is what I do. I just sit there and I watch it, so it keeps my attention. I don't pay attention that my legs hurt, so that's my cardio plan.
Another thing is that as of the time of recording this, Binding of Isaac Repentance just came out.
Holla!
I played a few hours of that. I managed to slip some time in between work, and it's hard.
Is it?
I don't think it's harder than normal Isaac was. It's just it's new. Like a lot of the animations have been subtly tweaked. You know, the monsters have all been rebalanced, and then there's new monsters too. And so,
heck yeah,
my muscle memory kind of works against me a little bit. And I've been dying in the first couple floors again. And it's been a long time since that's happened.
I said, when did you last play Isaac?
Winter, I think before we got into Hades. So November, December.
That's probably about when I
tend to play it for a few months at a time, and then I'll stop for a while and come back to it.
Well, because a lot of times that's usually when they throw out a patch or something like that. And usually it has a little something new in there. But yeah, that's kind of where I was with that. I'm really wanting to get it. I have to kind of put it on the back burner because I did just pick up 2 Switch games. I got Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. It's the
Is that worth picking up? I'm eyeballing that one.
So I'm almost done with it. I will let you borrow it because it is phenomenal.
Oh, you got it on the disc?
I got it on a cartridge, yeah.
Oh, sweet. That won't buy it.
Yeah, and then I also got Hyrule Warriors, which that I want to play. Oh, stop. Why is that face? Guys, he just made an awful face. Like, he's not, like, into it, I guess.
I didn't like Dynasty Warriors back in the day.
Okay.
It just looks like Dynasty Warriors with Link.
Well, fine, then. I'm going to play it by myself, and I'm going to enjoy it.
If it's good, let me know, and I'll play it.
If not, I'll let you borrow it anyways, and you can at least tell me whether or not you like it, and you don't have to play it.
I can do that.
I mean, it's on a cartridge.
I'll try it out.
Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing a lot. I've been playing that, and I also picked up... So, I got Game Pass off of Xbox. Nice. I played what did I play? Plague and A Plague's Tale of Innocence. Mm-hmm. It's actually really fun. It's a really kind of it's more of a kind of a stealthy game. It's fun. It was fun. It's very more narrative driven. I like that a lot. We can talk about that one later too. And then what else did I play? Started playing Torchlight 3.
3? Because
it's on there, and I was like, it's free. I'm gonna try it. And I actually started getting back into it. It's scratching that Diablo itch that I really wanted.
Mentioning that Diablo 2, like Rebirth or Remade, whatever it is, what are you thinking about that?
So,
have you been following some of the news about it?
A little bit. So I saw that they've retextured. I have only noticed that what Blizzard has been kicking out, which is all pretty much just positive stuff. Which it's Blizzard, and they're going to try and throw out positive stuff. I haven't seen any people like doing any reactions to it. What have you seen?
It's not sure what all is going to happen yet. The graphical repatch that they showed is obviously happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got one, but they sent out an email survey to a bunch of Blizzard people. Mm-hmm. So I got one, and about half the survey was about the Diablo 2, and about half of it was about Burning Crusade Classic. Mm-hmm. And it was questions about would you want changes? Would you want balances? Do you want a bigger stash? All these different things. So I don't know that they've quite decided what to do yet. I think the stash is going to be a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. They promise there is going to be a way to trade items with yourself without having to make a empty world and hope no one else jumps in.
I don't know what you're talking about. We've never done that ever.
So, but it's not clear what exactly is going to happen. And the online community is very split between people who want a full rebalance, let's make Diablo 2, patch 1.13, or people who'd want to just have Diablo 2 but with better graphics.
So I would rather. I'm on the other side. I'm on the prior. So like you're saying is, I would like to see a rebalance and kind of a little bit of a difference, because if you're just going to reskin something, you don't need to have that price point on it. It would be, if it was lower, if it was like $30, $25, I would be okay with it being a reskin and just going with it there.
Yeah.
But if you're going to charge, I believe it was $60.
Probably full price. Yeah.
They're going to charge $60 for it. You're going to have to do a respec and a rebalance and throw some new niceties and some better UI in there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and if they're not willing to do that, I think they're going to lose a lot of people that are on board with this right now. That's just me, though.
And we'll see. And I think even if they don't rebalance the skills and stuff, if they just do some quality of life changes, that would be a big difference.
Well,
the Battle.net got a revamp, if the multiplayer joining systems got reworked, if things just ran smoother, that would help a lot.
Well, like I said, it's hopefully they take some of those survey questions to.
This will probably make me a heretic, but if I would even like them to have just plug Y added to the game.
I would be down with that too, honestly.
A shared stash amongst all your characters. Now, admittedly, I usually play single player.
Yeah.
Or LAN multiplayer. I was never like a Battle.net player. So
we did it for
us, being able to store these rare items that you weren't going to see again was important because you're playing single player.
Yeah. You
may never see that drop again.
No, not.
There's no one else to trade with, so I would like to have that for single player at least. I know for Battle.net that probably won't work, but
well, we'll see. I don't know if they'll be able to do it, but like I said, I know we did do a little bit of Battle.net like a few times, but like you said, mostly it was just us playing by ourselves mostly. Mm-hmm. Which I would be interested to see because I kind of want to see if we can get Zach and Tara involved in it. I know Zach would probably want to play it.
I think Zach would be down for it.
Zach would definitely be down with it. It might just be a guys only game, but I don't know because Kelly never really played Diablo 2 at all, did she?
No, she did Diablo 3 with me a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't know. Diablo 3 just didn't do it for me.
It definitely didn't do it for me though either. So
despite being superficially similar, it's just not the same game.
No, it's not. It's very much more. It's way more loot heavy and way more grindy. It definitely, I don't know, it just didn't feel like the same.
Well, it's like there's no like talent points, there's no skill points. You just kind of get these modifiers and you just make a few skills and like everything is so open-ended and balanced. Like there's no like builds to it.
Yeah, and it's weird. So like in the way, kind of like going off that a little bit, I started playing it again the other night. I made a Crusader. This is probably about a month and a half back. Mm-hmm. Whenever I was on nights, I started playing it again, and that's the same kind of feel like you said I had of that. Is I was like, well, what's the real point of this? Like, yeah, I have these stones that increase, my certain talents or do certain things, and I'm like, doesn't really matter.
You didn't have like an identity because like when we played, it's like I'm a frozen orb sorceress or I'm a hammer paladin.
Yeah, and you have to like look.
You have to specialize and make a build,
and you have to look at your skills ahead of time to say I want to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to put X amount of points as this and X amount of points in this to augment different skills. In this, it's literally like it's like a shotgun. You just put like this, whatever.
When patch 1.10 came out and added the synergies to the skills, it was even better.
I don't know.
3 just doesn't have that feel.
No, it definitely does. It definitely has that story feel into it, which they did fine with that. But it's like I said, I'm super hesitant with it. It's just, that's why I'm a little hesitant with since they announced, basically Diablo 4. It definitely has the feel of Diablo 2, but at the same time, it's just like they haven't shown a lot of the skill tree all that much in this, and the UI all that much. They've done a little bit of. They did it with was it the assassin character they had there or whatever I can't remember, the ranger.
Yeah, maybe the barbarian or something. I remember the picture of like the tree and the roots.
Yeah.
And it's all very early, I think.
So that's kind of why I'm hoping they keep that style and they keep it true to the kind of like Diablo 2-esque a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. So, but yeah, talking about, like I said, we kind of like went down a Diablo hole there.
Rabbit hole.
That's okay, but
on to the main topic.
So the main topic, talking about kind of going off of our Binding of Isaac, that roguelike feel we were really hoping for. We're going to be talking about FTL or Faster Than Light, which is a top-down real-time roguelike strategy game. A real top-down roguelike game. So do you want to give a brief synopsis about what the game is about, James?
Sure. Like David was saying, Faster Than Light it's a top-down game. You're essentially playing the role of like a starship captain. Yep. So you were like Captain Picard.
That's right, you are.
You have a ship that you start out in, and the general thrust of the game is that you are a rebel ship and you're trying to outrun the Imperial fleet who is chasing you down. And you're trying to stay ahead of them as you move through star systems towards your eventual goal and eventually the showdown with the flagship of the fleet.
The big boy. The big daddy, as it were.
And so what you have to do this with is you have your ship and they have crew. Mm-hmm. And the ship has a number of stations. And so what you can do is you can command your crew to go work at different stations. And if they're working at the station, it gets a bonus. So like if there's someone manning the guns are more accurate and fire faster. Yep. And what you also do is you can control which systems are powered up and turned on and which ones aren't.
Yep.
So you can put more power in the shields. You can pull power out of the shields and put it in the guns. you can control the doors and stuff on the ship. That kind of thing.
To great effect.
We
will talk about that a little more in depth in here.
The doors and the airlocks are the ultimate weapon.
That's right. You don't really need shields.
Shields?
You can, but you can kill almost anything.
If you've ever done like a no shield stealth ship run, it's hard.
It's extremely hard. Yeah. So that's one of the great things I love about this game. And so let's get a little background on it before we delve deep into it. So Faster Than Light is actually an indie game that was developed by Subset Games, and it was released for Microsoft, Mac, and Linux in September of 2012. And so, like you said, it's the player controls a crew of a single spacecraft, and you basically move around and you try to you control these different systems, and you're basically trying to get to the end of the game through different systems and fight the big baddie at the very end, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the really cool things about this game was whenever these guys were looking at this, they have, you can tell right off the bat playing it. It's literally like the top, you see it's all top down, so you can see your spaceship, mm-hmm. and you see basically like it's cookie cutter and it looks tabletop. That's where mm-hmm. they get a lot of their ideas and design for it, which is it's very
it kind of feels like a cross between like a tabletop Starship game. Mm-hmm. And something like Zork, like an old text game.
Kind of, yeah.
Because you kind of go between those two modes of gameplay where you're picking a planet and you get a prompt, and then you're doing fights, and it's more like a top-down.
And you get those questions like, what do you want to do here? It's just like, I want to send my crew down there, and your red shirt dies.
Yeah, it's like you encounter a ship hailing, a distress beacon. Yeah. The ship is on fire.
What do you do?
Do you want to A, leave it to its fate, B, send down your crew to rescue, or, C, shoot it down before they can get close to you?
Yeah. And so you get all these, and then of course, each time you react to that, you get different results. It's like...
Because each choice it's not the same thing, it's a random chance. And so, like, if you leave the ship alone, there's a small chance it will attack you while it's on fire.
Yeah.
If you send a crewman down, there's a pretty good chance the crewman will die, but you might rescue someone and get a new crewman.
Yeah.
Or... every once in a while, they have these blue options, which are unlocked by having like the right key to the puzzle. So, if you have a rock spaceman in your group, he's immune to fire, so he can just go put out the fire.
Yeah, and possibly save the people. And then you have
they might give you a gun, they might give you some money, or maybe they just say, "Thanks, you're a great guy," and you get nothing. I mean, it depends.
You're like, and yay, my heart grew 3 sizes that day.
It's like there's a war on, right?
Yeah, really. Hey, we got stuff we got to do with it. So, but yeah, that's. And so going off that, they used this idea of they actually took a lot of inspiration from Battlestar Galactica, the tabletop game, from what I've gathered. And if you look at if you've looked it up, I don't know if you looked at it at all, but it's literally the same concept. It's the board. So in the Battlestar Galactica game, it's set up. You see, it's all top down, and you have the main characters, like you have Starbuck and all these, Captain Adama. I don't know if you ever watched it at all.
A little bit, yeah.
It's phenomenal. The new series is great. So anyways, but the whole time you have these characters that move around the ship on their own, like you roll to move them, and you have to basically figure out who's a Cylon, who's not, and all that stuff.
Okay.
And so you can kind of see where they get the concept, like, oh, like this is a really cool concept. But they added a few other little things in there, like, so instead of it being who you have to figure out who the bad guy is on your ship, you have a group of guys on your ship trying to get to an end goal while it's all real time and things like that. So, but they came up with this idea, and it was actually just two guys that made this, essentially started this game. I'm trying to remember their names. But they came up with this idea, and they put they were trying to figure out, whether or not they're gonna, like, how do we go? Do we go self-funded, or do we try and go and said, or do we go with Kickstarter? Well, these guys that started the game, they basically had, like I said, they have this. Let me pull it up, see if I can find it. Okay, so I apologize. They're Matthew Davis and Justin M. Both are the two guys. So they actually used to be employed with 2K Games over in Shanghai. So these guys had a game development background, obviously, but they decided whenever they left 2K in 2011, they were like, hey, what do we want to do with this? And they basically said, well, we can't afford to make this on our own without a little bit of income, like most game developers. They kind of were the first ones to kind of implement this. They basically said, well, how are we going to fund this? And there's this new thing called Kickstarter. It was mainly geared towards like film and books and things like that a little bit.
This was one of the first games to like be a Kickstarter game that actually
took off.
Actually happened, and it was actually good.
And so, like you said,
we've talked about Hollow Knight and stuff like that before.
Yeah,
this was before that,
way before. So, and unfortunately, the few games that did come before it, or before 2012 or 2011, never really came to fruition. A lot of them didn't.
Well, like infamously, like the Yogscast game.
Yes, it basically took people's money and ran, essentially.
The Unforgotten Realms game never happened. What were some other ones that leave holes in our hearts? I mean,
I don't know, but I mean, there's so many that I remember looking at and thinking, like, that'd be really great to put some money towards. But me being a poor college student at the time, I was just like, I can't really afford to do that.
Oh yeah, Peter Molyneux's Goddess. I don't think that one ever showed up.
Don't get me started about Peter Molyneux. He's a little toxic, in my opinion. So I'll just let him alone. So.
I would say he peaked with Populous way back for the SNES. And he's been kind of riding that success since then.
I mean, can you blame him?
Which is harsh, but
I mean, it's kind of like the Beatles a little bit. So, but anyways, that's a whole other.
We're gonna get some actual hate.
That's fine with me. I love them to death, but I think they kind of rode on their laurels a little bit. Certain people have ridden on their laurels for a while. So
okay, so getting even more off topic now.
Yeah,
one of my favorite anime music videos of all time.
Where did you tell me the connection here? Okay,
it's a Beatles song.
Okay.
Someone did Nowhere Man, and they did a Trigun with Fashion Stampede, like wandering around, and it actually really, really works with his character.
That sounds really cool, actually. Yeah. So it was a nice little AMV, so that'd be kind of cool.
Nice AMV.
So that'd be cool. Yeah, sorry you kids out there. It's anime music video, which was definitely like a thing back in the day. I don't know if it still is all that much, but I'm sure people still do.
That was serious currency in the 90s.
Absolutely.
I mean, people would make their own web pages, like Temple of Trunks, I think, for DBZ.
Yes. Oh my God.
We're getting really old school.
Yeah. Talk about. So I'm going to give a shout out to my buddies Cole and Tim. They actually try to make a couple in their days, and it's difficult. It's legit hard, especially with the technology you had back in the day too. So. But anyways, so without going deep into the Beatles hate that we're going to get probably later. So obviously they took all this inspiration from these tabletop games, and they actually were pleasantly surprised that the success of the funding, just skyrocketed. They were just like, wow, okay, this is phenomenal. But the whole kind of concept that they kind of went with, eventually they developed this whole thing, is they wanted to have this impending doom kind of idea, almost kind of like Pandemic a little bit, the board game Pandemic, where you have this pressure to get to a certain position and try and go up and beat it.
They did that very well. In the game, as you move through the star systems, like you start on the left side of the screen at the beginning of the sector, and as you can see on the right side of the screen, the sector doesn't get revealed until you move through it. You discover the
kind of hazy
points as you go. And you can get radar upgrades to see further along. Yeah. But you can see the exit point for where you can jump to the next sector. But every turn you spend in the sector, you see the big alliance. It was the Rebel Fleet. Yeah, the Rebel Fleet catches up with you.
Yeah, you have that little buffer zone that you see. It's like a little checkered red.
It's like an orange wave that just comes across the map. And then if you are back in any area controlled by that, you have to fight extra rebel ships that are trying to catch up to you. And they are very difficult.
Yes, and it's also kind of so that when you get into that zone, it's kind of like you kind of have to start to outweigh your the pros and the cons. Are like, how far do I want to stretch my luck?
Well, it's like, because if I don't push it a little bit and gain some extra resources, you're going to lose at the end.
You are severely underpowered at the end. Yeah, it's like if you just go straight mad dash to the end of the sector, you'll
never win. You need the extra power that comes from having some luck, and that means you have to go to lots of planets. So how many places can I visit before I'm out of time in each sector?
And sometimes it gets a little hairy. Like you're like, can I how far do I, like you said, I was like, how far do I want to push my luck? And there's a couple of them. It's like, oh, I just figured out I just got the thing to finish this quest, but the quest giver is all the way back at the very beginning of the solar system. Do I want to push it? Do I want to push it?
Well, and there's the double thing too, is that once the Rebel fleet shows up, they override whatever event was at that place before. And so you got to get back to that quest giver before
exactly.
it shows up.
It's a lot of time management, a lot of
like, can I make it to the shop one more time before I have to jump?
And so, like I said, that's why it's very reminiscent of things of like Pandemic, where it's like, am I going to try and build a research center here, or am I just going to try and contain this outbreak over here and things like that? And it feels very reminiscent of that. So
I need my cloning bay. I need my hacking module.
So those are some really awesome. So I know we're talking about the outlay of it. So obviously you get all these different things as you go through the solar systems, and you can pick up different things. So let's talk about the spaceship, the main thing that you deal with the majority of the time, which is your spaceship overlay. Let's talk about that. Just give me a brief overview.
You have a ship, and you can unlock bigger and better or different types of ships as you go. But your basic ship is like this little top-down striker. It has rooms. Like almost every ship has a shield module. Almost all of them have a weapons module. They have a piloting room. They have either like a med bay or a cloning bay, and they've got like an oxygen room.
Yep.
And then depending on the ships, they start with different amounts of power. They have different amounts of shields.
Yep.
And they have different amounts of open slots for more modules, which you can purchase or find as you go along.
And actually, even going just a little bit further with that, depending on which ship you start with, you have different types of crew members that you start with.
Correct.
So, crew
members are different races. Like your humans are your kind of balanced ones. Like the rock guys are immune to fire, but they move slow.
Yes.
The mantises have low health, but they do tons of damage. Yep.
And then you actually have, I think there's
guys who are weak but are good at computers.
There's also like androids, or aren't there? Or
yeah, that's from the
expansion.
The advanced edition, the special one, which is I got into the game right when that was coming out. And those guys are even better because they suck the air out of the room they're standing in.
That's right, they do.
They don't need oxygen.
So yeah, that's one of those great things. Is like it has different types of systems and different types of races that you can use to try and do different gameplay styles, right? Like kind of like you were saying with the no shield stealth mission, run. There are people that are out there like they come up with these things and they say, how hard or what angle do I want to try? And do I want to go with like a straight, normal run where I'm humans? And I literally just try to see how far, like how high can I push my shields, and how heavy can I make my guns? Essentially, it's what you end up doing.
And that's kind of your basic run is upgrade the shields, upgrade your weapons, and then try to just blast the other guy to smithereens
as fast as possible. And it unfortunately sometimes that it doesn't always run. But then you get to other things where it's like, what was the one where it's it's more of a Mantis ship? It's more of
the Mantis ship has the teleporting module built in.
That's what I thought.
And what you do is you teleport into the enemy ship and just try to kill them all
as fast as possible. Yes, I remember. Yeah, I totally forgot. I see. I only got about
especially the Mantis ship B, I think, because it has the cloning bay instead of the med bay, which is even better because then you have suicide teleporters.
Yep. So I think that's about as far as I got. So I only unlocked like 3 or 4 of the ships. So
you missed out some of the
that's why I said, man, it just really, I had a little bit of a hard time. So I know let's backtrack a little bit. So let's do this. So you kind of touched on it a little bit. When did you get into it? When did you find this?
I found it right when the advanced edition came out.
Okay, so
that's when they had like a big spike of popularity on Steam.
Do you remember when that was? Was it like 2014, maybe 2015?
Something like that.
I know it was like
I was in med school still, I think.
Yes, because I remember that was about when I was. Because I remember, I think I just married Jackie.
Yeah.
Right around that time, and I remember picking it up because we were living up in around St. Louis for a little bit, and I think you actually suggested this to me, and I think that's when I got it about the same time you did. Yeah. I remember kind of, I don't know how you felt about it, but whenever I first started playing it, I was like, oh, this is great, this is fun, and I played it on easy initially, and but it seemed like every time like I try to go from like either normal to hard, there was a substantial jump in like difficulty for me at least.
Yeah, and I did do hard mode because you had to do it to unlock some of the ships.
Yeah.
And the difference is main difference is that it gives out a lot less scrap rewards, and so you have a lot less money to spend on things. You have to really maximize your benefits of traveling through systems, and you have to really minimize the amount of damage you're taking while you're fighting, because spending scrap to heal yourself is just an endless pit.
Yeah, and that's kind of what one of those things that I kind of ran into. I think that's what kind of really turned me off of it initially. Probably after about, say, a year playing it, probably. I think that's what it was. I've come back to it every once in a while. Like, I think they've released one. I think they released it for several different systems. I think they released it for free on Xbox and PS4. I think is when it came out.
I played it on PC. I've been told the tablet version is really, really quality release. And if I was starting it fresh, I would probably buy the tablet one because it's just really well suited to that type of interface.
I mean, that's kind of what I said. It's just the setup and the way it looks. It kind of reminded me, like, nowadays, back when we were playing it, that was kind of like the era of when, like, cell phone games or tablet games were really getting big at that point. Something that's easily accessible for people that are like that. But nowadays, it's just everywhere, and that makes sense. That would be a great platform for it to be on, especially for like somebody that's just trying to burn some time, like an airport or something like that. And you're just sitting there, or you're on the airplane or whatever it is, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be a huge time waste. But like, I still like it a lot on the PC because I don't know about you, because we're definitely old school, PC Master Race guys. So we just like to point and click a little bit, and with that mouse, and it's fun. So, and that's literally all you have to have. You need your mouse and the space bar essentially, and I mean, if you want to go really nitty gritty into it, you can go with like the numbers for like the different weapons and things like that to make them run and things like that. But I mean, you don't really even need those. And so it's a super simplistic system.
You can pause in combat and stop and think. So
that's one of those nice things about it.
Which is a nice feature. It also means it's good because you can get up and walk away if you need to.
Yeah, and just think about it a little bit. So, and that's one of those things. That's why it definitely feels a lot more reminiscent of the board game a little bit.
It has a thinking feel to it. You don't feel like you're being pressured to take action. It doesn't have like an action game feel. It has more of a strategy type feel.
Yeah, but still, like I said, it has that nice.
But it's not turn based.
No, it's definitely not. So that's why I said it has that nice balance of like real time action where you're going through if you're fighting, but you can pause and, like you said, you can think about what you're doing and say, okay, this is the pattern they've been going with. This is what I need to do X, Y, and Z so I don't die.
You can unleash the ultimate move.
What's the ultimate move?
The ultimate move is to open all the airlocks in the ship, have the entire crew hide in the med bay.
That's right, and suckers.
If you've paid for the door upgrade, which should be the first upgrade you buy.
Always.
Always. Then everyone else will hopefully suffocate to death before they get to you.
That's right.
And if they do still reach you, then your crew will be healed by the med bay because you're fighting inside the med bay.
That's right. I might have done that a few times. It definitely works, and that's a great. Unless you're fighting one of the automated defense drones, or whatever.
For teleporting fights, that's how you defend.
Yep, that's exactly how you defend yourself. So let's kind of go over that a little bit. So like the different strategies you have for fighting things.
So my preferred game is to get up to 2 shields as quickly as possible. Yeah, it did that a little while ago. We got about 20 more minutes to go.
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
we can cut out that bit.
Tiny little break.
Anyway, my preferred strategy is to get up to 2 shields as quickly as possible.
Yep.
That's a huge advantage, and it keeps you from taking a ton of damage early on when your opponents have one gun. Mm-hmm. And then I prefer to combo a laser, some type of multi-shooting laser that is just going to knock down the shields with something bigger. I like beam weapons because you can use them to carve up a ship, and if you place them carefully, you can do tons of damage.
Yes.
Towards the late game, if you can I prefer a hacking module over drones.
Yeah.
Mostly because when you get to the last fight, using drones on the rebel ship is pretty hard, but the hacking module works really well.
Mm-hmm.
especially to take out like their stealth or their drones. It's really helpful.
Super helpful. So I kind of play the same way a little bit.
I don't usually do missiles.
Well, it's the thing is with missiles, it's a finite thing, and you're constantly having to buy them.
Unless you're playing the rock cruiser, or you get like the missile duplicator upgrade or something.
Which that's so much further down the line on your weapon systems, and you have to buy that too on top of it. So it's
not very power intensive, because the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is every gun, every system requires power. You upgrade your ship's power core, but then you have to like allocate it. And so your big fancy flak cannon might take 3 or 4 bars of energy, which could run 2 layers of shields.
Yes.
And so you have to really prioritize, one, are you going to dump all of your money into power so you can keep everything powered up, or are you going to try and allocate things as you need it? Like, does your med bay really need to be turned on when you're not using it?
Yeah, like 24/7. It's just like, not really. It's just like, also it's like other things is like, do you need to have a guy sitting in the commander spot or the piloting spot, all the time? And like, yeah, you do, because it helps you evade, incoming attacks and things like that. In my opinion, at least.
You can't evade it all without someone in the spot, so you definitely need someone.
That's exactly what I was saying.
You will always get hit.
Yeah. It's also then something that says, do I need somebody in the engine spot, or do you need somebody in the oxygen spot? You don't really need somebody in the environmental compartment unless there's a crack there, but you have to heal, and it's like, otherwise you're all going to suffocate and die to death. But anyways, it's a whole other ball of wax. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to play the game.
Yeah.
I've done runs with the fire bombs and light people's ships on fire.
Yes.
If you pair that with fireproof crew to teleport in, it can be really fun. Teleporting runs are great. I love running the teleporting ships.
So I did like. So I kind of started to kind of dip my toe in that a little bit, because it was the Mantis ship. I think one of the Mantis ships was one of the last ships I unlocked, and I kind of started doing the invasion teleporter. That's kind of what I call it, and I started to really like it, but I noticed it wasn't like really doable in game. You can make it work, but it was a little harder. Maybe it was also like the difficulty I was playing it on too, though, probably.
Obviously you can't beat the final boss with teleporting strategies by itself, but whenever you beat ships by killing all the crew, you get greatly increased rewards.
Yes.
And so usually I would start with a teleporting strategy, and by the time you're getting to the last sector, you have to be geared up to fight.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it a lot. It's a ton of fun, especially if you can get a clone bay set up so you can suicide your soldiers.
Yep, and you just like, as long as you got power going to the clone bay, you can just literally just wave after wave of military guys.
Ideally, you would get like Mantis guys, or you would get the oxygen sucking guys, whatever their names are.
I don't remember what they're called either. I don't know if I unlocked them or not. I think I did probably.
Unlock their ship through like a special quest.
Because I don't know if I remember unlocking them or not, but I remember finding out about them, but I don't think I got to the point where I unlocked them, which makes me kind of want to go back and play it again a little bit.
So here's the thing with we've mentioned unlocking ships and stuff, and there's 2 like layers to it. Like every ship is unlocked through doing some type of special event or quest. You start with the Kestrel, which is the like starting ship.
It looks like the fire. It looks like a Firefly class ship from Serenity
type ship, and so each ship has 2 alternate layouts that you can unlock by doing achievements with that ship, and then the other ships in the arsenal you unlock by doing things. One of them is like a United Federation ship you get just for beating the game, but the other ones are all quests. And so, like, to get, like, I'm trying to remember one. I think to get the Mantis ship, you have to, like, encounter a Mantis criminal in one particular type of sector, and you help him out, and he gives you a quest, and you have to follow it up by running into, like, another ship and doing another thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's usually 2 or 3 layered quests, and there's a lot of luck in getting to all the places in time.
Yeah, there is. And I've noticed that, like, whenever I was playing it like that, trying to get those specific things, it was a little infuriating sometimes, to say the least. And I definitely rage quit more than once to try to, because there were certain points where it's just like, if you find just the right because a lot of times, like you said, it's you have to find that you have to go to that specific place within that sector, and a lot of times it's random.
And then you have to hope that
Yeah.
the follow-up quest is in a part of the sector you can get to without the rebel fleet destroyed.
Exactly. And so maybe it's like, say you're in the third solar system by that point, and you're just like, you try to get to that thing and you can't make it, and you're like, son of a bitch. And you're like, that was the whole point of me trying to do this. And so a lot of times it was literally just me playing through there and randomly finding it sometime, and like, I guess I'm going after this now.
I think the slug one was the hardest one for me to get.
I don't know if I ever did that one.
I can't remember what exactly it was, but I remember the slug quest being particularly brutal.
I know some of them. Well, that's the fun thing about it. It's like they made some of these that were hard enough to try and make you, kind of, wring your hands through your hair a little bit and just like shake your fist at the gods a little bit.
Yeah,
and so it was good.
Pretty, like the Ingi ship is really easy.
Yeah,
you just have to you get a random event. You just have to decide not to destroy them, and they're like, "Oh, you're an enlightened person."
Yeah.
And if you go to their homeworld sector, they're like, "Here's a ship." And it's like, "Oh, great."
Wow, that was way easier.
Not too hard.
Way easier than I thought it was. So obviously, we both, have extensively played it and whatnot. So what did you think of it as a whole after playing it for, several hours, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's a really great game. I really like the roguelike, storytelling aspects of it where you're playing through and you're making decisions and things happen. I really like the strategic gameplay and being able to pause and think and it not being like a button mashing type fighting sim.
Yeah.
The random elements can be really punishing sometimes. It's hard to strike the balance between taking enough risk to get good benefits and, just getting your ass kicked by the game.
And I totally agree with that. And that's one of those things is I kind of stepping my toe into it and kind of like learning more and more from it as I kind of went into it and eventually just calling it quits. I definitely truly enjoyed that tabletop feel that it had set up, and like you said, kind of being able to think ahead of time, like, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and to get to my end goal and to beat the big bad guy. But like you said, that was probably the most infuriating thing about it is the randomness in it. But then again, that's also a lot of what makes tabletop games fun, some of these ones, because a lot of times it's a roll of the dice of what you encounter, essentially, right?
Yeah, and that's the appeal of a roguelike game. And so I don't know.
They're good and they're bad because it's much like with like Binding of Isaac. Yeah. It's like, even though I'm going to whatever, the minute you fall into whatever floor you're going to, it's already preset as you go, like what's going to happen in each room that you go there. But the thing is, it's like you don't know, and you have to kind of adapt to it a little bit, and you don't know like what weapon you're going to get once you go into the treasure room.
And I guess what I would say with this game compared to other roguelikes, like you said, like Binding of Isaac, I don't think it's quite as replayable.
No.
I enjoyed playing it. I unlocked all the ships. I did most of the achievements. And then at some point, you're like, okay, I've kind of seen everything now.
Yeah.
Like, there's only so many weapons. There's only so much there. And at some point, it just kind of starts to get repetitive. And that happens faster than something like the Binding of Isaac, which has hundreds of items. And some of them, like, frankly, break the game in different ways.
Yeah.
This is more of a self-contained, consistent type of game. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a half a dozen different types of beam weapons. There's several different bombs. There's only so many builds you can do. It's great for 20, 30 hours of gameplay. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's about what I played it for. It's probably about 20, 25 hours maybe.
It's not going to eat like a whole year of gameplay like something like Binding of Isaac.
No, definitely not. But like I said, but obviously it was good enough that it won several awards from what I've gathered, especially the sound, the musical.
I was going to say, the music has this really nice, like,
kind of ethereal.
It's like a MIDI type thing. It's like old school gaming.
Kind of like, I would call it almost like 8-bit or 16. I would go almost 16-bit probably with its kind of like orchestral sound. It's very like ding, ding, ding. And like, it's like really simple things. It's good stuff.
The music makes it.
I'm severely underrating it at this point. Just if you want to hear like, I remember there's definitely been some times where I like I pulled up the soundtrack to it and just sat there and listened to it while I'm like doing something else on the computer, because it's so like methodical and like just melodic, and it's like, okay, I can get into this a little bit. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things. I think that's what it won a lot of awards for, from what I remember reading, was its musical accompaniment, but it also got really close to winning several awards when it first came out, about like being roguelite of the year or whatever it was, but it never really got all the way to the end, unfortunately, from what I've gathered. Yeah, I didn't put a whole lot of that into the thing, but what I did gather is that people have enjoyed it so much that a lot of people actually stick it up there with Binding of Isaac, to say that it's, when it came out, it's one of those games that kind of set the forefront for roguelike games, to say, hey, this is kind of a pattern of what you want to go for, or this is kind of what you want to look for in a roguelike or a tabletop type game on the PC. So
I would highly recommend it. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the PC version plays great.
Yep.
If I was going to pick it up now and I had like a large tablet, I think like an Amazon Fire tablet or an iPad.
It doesn't take a lot, yeah.
It doesn't. It's not like a big memory hog or anything, but I think a tablet would be a great way to play it. While you're out and about, sitting in the airport or whatever. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
it's a good busy game.
It definitely is, and like I said, you can keep
a nice light gaming experience.
Yep, and I would highly recommend, even if you're like not into gaming as much, it's very nice and like just a nice time sink for a little while.
And you can live out some of your Star Trek fantasies.
That's right. Hopefully, you're not a red shirt. Maybe you're a James Tiberius Kirk, possibly. Not a Captain Spock. Who knows?
You can't be Picard though. Yeah. don't try and shoot that high.
Wow. It's okay. I'm more of a next generation kind of guy myself, honestly. So
TNG is where it's at.
That's right. Wow, we kind of went off the rails there. But anyways, James, I just want to say thanks for coming by today. Guys, I just want to also say, unfortunately, it's been a great run, though. I think we're going to end the podcast forever now. And anyways, I think that's the one announcement I wanted to make. But also, April Fools, guys. Sorry, that's when we're recording this. That's my dumb April Fools joke for today. James, for about 5 seconds, James was just like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Anywho, next week, guys, we have a really special game lined up for you. It's Tales of Equestria, the Pony Olympics.
Hell yeah.
My Little Pony and the other princesses, they're going to be facing off against the porcine principiant in the Great Games. So
you didn't even try. You were just like, I'm going to make the most randomly ridiculous thing ever. That's great. Nobody's going to believe that we're going to do My Little Pony. Princesses, friendship is magic.
Bronies for life, man.
We may not be friends anymore.
No. I can't even do that with a straight face.
Anyways, hey, different strokes for different folks, guys. Enjoy what you like. But anyways, I just want to thank everybody for coming by and enjoying the podcast. Like I said, if you guys are enjoying what we're talking about, if you like stuff like FTL, Raft that we just came out with, and we also did Settlers of Catan with our buddies over at Not Your Father's Movies. If you like this kind of stuff, let us know. I know
that game seriously destroys relationships.
So we're gonna try it. Jesse really wants to get together with you and talk about some games, because he does a lot of his job is computer stuff too, and so he sits in front of a computer all day and he goes, I play a lot of board games, a lot of strategy games, board games. So he really wants to pick your brain. I go, well, I think I might have a guy for you that's also like super into board games too. So, but yeah, that might be future stuff. But anyways, guys, if you liked what you're listening to, let us know. What you like, what you don't like. If we're doing a crap job, if you think James and I are also awful people and we're bringing about the next apocalypse, just let us know and we can hopefully amend some things and maybe redeem ourselves a little bit. I don't know how we're doing that, but
make sure to include your shipping address so we can send you a suitable response.
just a giant Ouija board, like a thing of blood, and we're just like, yes, summon the dark one. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just talking out my ass. Anyways, But if you like this kind of stuff, just let us know because we can augment whatever we're doing here to let you guys have a more fun and enjoyable experience. Also, remember, if you guys could do us a solid favor, rate and review any of the shows you listen to. Let us know if you like them. That's a huge thing. The algorithm gods, they demand a sacrifice, and all they need is an up thumbs or down thumbs. That's all I need.
Good ratings, but even bad ratings help. So
that is true. They tell us whether or not we're good boys or bad boys. But hey, bad boys for life too, James.
Hey, start a fight in the comment section.
Anyways, all right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Again, thanks for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week with another wonderful, pointless conversation. So, all right, James, talk to you later, man.
Talk to you later.
All right, bye, guys. If you're interested in keeping up to date with new episodes on our channel, add us on any of your favorite podcasting apps, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Seriously Pointless Conversations. If you have questions or concerns, please email us at seriouslypointlessconvo@gmail.com. We appreciate any feedback. Thank you for listening to our show.